Next up, we have Dr. Valerie Shoup. And Dr. Shoup is president of Heritage Institute of Sustainability and Merciful executive leader, offering a proven track record of achievement in sustainability, energy conservation, research, education, and hospital administration. Valerie serves as an articulate DBA professional engineer with extensive background in healthcare design, operations, constructions, and maintenance. She also delivers expertise in HCAHPS score and quality improvement and experience in academic healthcare and corporate environments. Dr. Shoup has received multiple awards and honorariums for her work, including the Magazine Excellence in Healthcare Innovation finalist. She has presented multiple papers, both nationally and internationally, on topics including engineering, sustainability, and healthcare. Her passion is creating a sustainable environment for current and future generations. Dr. Shoup, thank you very much for being with us, and the floor is yours. You may share your screen.
Okay, thank you for having me today. So, let's see. All right. Let's see. Okay, there we go. I hope everybody can hear me, and thank you again for having me today, and I'm excited to share some information with everybody about preparing for back to school and back to work. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started today. So as he said, my name is Valerie Shoup, and I'm the president of Heritage Institute of Sustainability and a licensed professional engineer in the state of Texas. Today we are here to discuss preparing campuses for back to school. There are several steps a campus can take to prepare teachers, staff, students, and parents for back to school that will help with a smoother transition and help alleviate some of the fear given the current social climate. In order to prepare campuses for back to school, certain steps must be taken to ensure a smooth transition. There are aspects to attaining a positive transition to be considered that go beyond cleaning a facility and placing barricades between desks. While these steps may be an important part of the preparation for back to school, appropriate interactions with teachers, students, parents, and staff are of the utmost importance to alleviate some of the fear that has been generated through information that may, in some cases, be misguided. There may also be processes and procedure changes that need to be made to ensure appropriate social distancing that can help reduce interactions that could possibly affect student health and safety. Spending some time educating both parents and children on proper restroom and cafeteria hygiene can also help reduce unnecessary exposure to pathogens. Finally, there are some indoor air quality technologies available to help ensure the space air quality can be the best it can be. In the course of study on patient satisfaction in hospitals, I conducted research on what gives patients and their families a positive sense of security and well-being when given the challenge of a hospital stay. In the current environment, the challenge parents may feel dropping their children off at school may cause some of the same feelings of anxiousness and uncertainty as a hospital stay. Not only parents, but teachers, staff, and members who may have been hunkered down at home all summer may be having some of these same feelings. So what can we do? The results of my study showed that respect, dignity, family interaction, shared decision-making, a sense of control and transparency were all aspects of a hospital stay that are relevant to return to school. Some questions you may ask include, how are you ensuring that individual families feel their opinions and concerns are treated with respect and dignity? What are the interactions with the families prior to starting school? Have the families had a voice in the shared decision-making of how things will go? Have changes been made with input from families? Do the families feel like they have a sense of control in what is happening? Is the school transparent with their planning? Do the parents, teachers, and staff know the plans? It is important to have open lines of communication with parents and students before they go back to school. By communicating with parents and students about what changes might be happening at the school, it will help alleviate concerns of parents, teachers, and students. Educational pieces should go out to the parents, teachers, and students before school starts. These educational pieces should be reviewed with the students when they return to school. So there are several educational pieces that may be found online that you may find of use. So these include frequently asked questions about COVID, how to keep students healthy and eating for health. Then you may share something on what's the plan when a student in a classroom comes ill. What has the school done to prepare for back to school, and what changes might students experience? And I have to say that this particular link, the public health in Arizona, without a doubt is one of the best links I've seen. So you might want to get a copy of this presentation and go to that link, because there's lots of material on that link that's just amazing. So other questions include what's a plan if there's a COVID outbreak or an outbreak of any kind in the classroom. And then simple things like proper hand washing techniques should be available to families and also posted in the restrooms. And then also an important thing is if teachers will reach out to their students before the students come back to school, so the students will feel more of a sense of ease returning to school. So going down that list, healthy eating is of course important to prevent illness. The Holistic Pharmacist website has food charts to help families make good decisions on what to eat. The USDA website is another website providing resources for healthy eating. And what I'm referring to in regard to schools and students is also helpful for your facility staff. So, and also you may consider removing soda machines and replacing with machines housing real fruit juices and other healthy drinks and snacks, because healthy eating by example is an important piece of educating students. But all of these pieces about health and maintaining health can be found on various websites. And the other thing to note is oftentimes the insurance for a school will be reduced if you can show that you're educating teachers and staff as well about good health and staying healthy. And then, of course, it's important to note that social distancing is not based on scientific evidence or clinical trials. The Center for Disease Control made social distancing official policy in February of 2007. They called it non-pharmaceutical interventions. And this is the first time it's been implemented, but will definitely not be the last. Over long periods of time, social isolation can actually increase the risk of a variety of health problems, including heart disease, depression, dementia, and even death. A 2015 meta-analysis of scientific literature by Julianne Holt-Lunst, a research psychologist at Brigham Young University, determined that chronic social isolation actually increases the risk of mortality by 29%. So that's posted in the Health and Social Sciences manual. So that being said, there's a list of measures some schools are taking to, social distance their students and staff. So some things include staggering start times between classes, consider if there's opportunities for outdoor learning, considering staggering lunch and break times. For younger children, you may wish to schedule bathroom breaks where students line up for the bathrooms with social distancing stickers on the floor. You might consider employing staggering employees as well. If there are some tasks, let's say maintenance tasks and whatnot, that employees can do, say second or third shift, you might consider that. And then there's just an abundance of material for purchase on various websites that talk about social distancing. So if you want materials to share with teacher, student, staff, it's available. So another thing is hygiene is most important to maintain health of any individual. Hygiene discussions can be included in the curriculum as well as informational pieces sent home to parents, teachers, and staff. Some questions that may be answered include, do students and staff know how germs spread? Do student staff know key times to wash hands? And do student staff know how to wash hands? You may wish to include educational pieces on the spread of germs for both student staff and families. It's important to ensure staff wear the proper PPE also for tasks they are conducting. So for instance, maintenance personnel, I've known of maintenance personnel to get very sick because they weren't wearing gloves and face masks when changing filters. And when you think about it, the filters in the air handling units are the ones that are catching all the dirt and bugs and everything else. So it's important that when maintenance staff wears the proper PPE when they're doing various maintenance tasks. Then cleaning staff should wear gloves at all times. I've seen cleaning staff who don't wear gloves. They should be wearing gloves at all times when performing tasks. And then kitchen staff, of course, wear gloves when handling food. So there's abundance of information on the OSHA website on the subject of hand hygiene in the workplace. So you might want to check that out. In regarding when to wash your hands, you may consider educational pieces that you can get these off the CDC website as well. And so here's a few examples of when to wash your hands. So before, during, and after preparing food, before eating food, before and after caring someone who is sick, before and after treating a cut or wound, after using the toilet, after changing diapers, after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing, after touching animals or animal feed or waste. Really a big one is at a gym or playing on the playground. That is a really important time because you can't go out there and clean all the playground equipment in between kids. So after they get done playing, if you just have them wash their hands, it will also help. So anyway, there's a lot of information on that, and I would certainly, this may seem very basic, but a lot of people don't know how to wash their hands, and posting posters around is a good way to help educate. So now let's discuss in some detail what you can do at the workplace mechanically to help prevent the spread of disease. So the CDC reports over 13 million flu cases in the 2019-2020 flu season. So as you can see, there are times when the number of deaths has spiked due to flu. Many people go to work when they are ill thinking it's just seasonal allergies. Because of this, we have issues of spreading illness in the workplace, in schools, and in other places. So what kind of things do you want to think about that affect the indoor air quality and the cleanliness in your space? Well, because of the number of people who work indoors, indoor air quality is an important consideration of every facilities team. The mechanical measures that can be taken to reduce the spread of pathogens in the workplace include consideration to the quantity of outside air, the number of space air changes, the humidity in the space, the type of filtration in the mechanical equipment, and the many types of passive and active technologies available to address indoor air quality. Now, more outside air can lead to higher costs, so weighing cost versus benefit for the chosen solution is of the utmost importance. You need to know what you're paying per CFM of outside air. Additionally, there may be equipment limitations to consider whether you can consider increasing the amount of outside air or the space air changes. So now let's talk a little bit about humidity. Studies have shown that higher humidity in a space can decrease infectivity of viruses. Figure 1 depicts the humidity level of 30% on the left and the humidity level of 45% on the right. And as you can see that large exhaled droplets in a higher humidity area do not travel as far as they do in a low humidity area. So figure 2 is from a study where influenza virus was coughed into the examination room, and NIOSH samplers collected aerosol samples for 60 minutes from the mannequin's mouth. 10 CFM to the 10 centimeters to the right and to the left of the mouth, and positions P1 and P2 within the room. At a constant temperature, 20 degrees C, the RH was varied over between 7 and 73%. The percentage of virus that retained infectivity relative to that prior to coughing is shown. So as you can see, as the humidity level increases, the infectivity level decreases. Technologies typically used in air handling units to control air quality have been UV lights, HEPA filters, which have been proven to be very effective in capturing and or killing microbes and various particles. However, they are constrained by the same challenge. The pathogens must travel to the UV light or filter to be effective. In the case of UV, only that which is located within 8 inches of the light source is eradicated. With a filter, you're capturing and accumulating particulate matter buildup after the pathogen arrives. Neither of these technologies was designed to address odors and mold issues. They are passive technologies, and they must await the microbes' arrival to deploy. Additionally, UV lights require switches that cut them off when the air handling unit door is open, so they do not cause harm to the personnel working on the unit. Additionally, UV lights and filters, changing HEPA filters, are an expensive proposition. I'd like to speak a little bit about filters. First, I want to point out that most filter racks are not tight and have air bypass. So you will find air bypassing your filters, and that is why coils get dirty. So you may want to consider how much bypass you have and see about sealing up around the filter banks. Second, it's very important to pay attention to what types of filters you have in your system. As you can see in the small micron range, until you get to MERV 14, you are essentially not capturing any of the smaller micron pollutants such as smaller dust, bacteria, and viruses. It is important to note that ASHRAE recommends MERV 13. But as you know, filters get more expensive as you reach the higher MERV levels. I personally recommend MERV 11 for its efficacy and lower costs than MERV 13. Additionally, pairing it with active technologies can make a huge difference in the performance of the air handling system. And other things you want to consider as you increase your MERV level, it also increases the static pressure necessary to move the same amount of air. So when we talk about MERV and the micron size, this table helps you to interpret what the various micron sizes mean. As you can see, viruses are very small microns. To capture them, you would need a HEPA filter. But active technologies will also allow you to go with a lower MERV filter and achieve the same result as if you had a HEPA filter. Remember, all filter racks bypass once again, so the first thing is to look at filter bypassing, because it doesn't matter how good your filters are, if there's significant bypass in the filter rack, it renders the MERV level useless. So where are the common germs located? Well, they are located in the spaces that people occupy. So let's talk a little bit about the type of viruses out there so you understand that they're categorized into 3 groups: enveloped, large non-enveloped, and small non-enveloped. These viruses are increasingly difficult to kill. So we see envelope viruses include influenza A, large non-envelope viruses are rotavirus, and small non-envelope viruses include rhino or noroviruses. Coronaviruses are envelope viruses, which mean they are one of the easiest types of viruses to render inactive with the appropriate product. So, the technology available, which is active air purification system that will address viruses in the space, is bipolar ionization. It has been documented to kill norovirus at a rate of 93.5% in 30 minutes. COVID-19 was tested at a kill rate of 99% in 30 minutes. So now let's compare bipolar to UVC. A lot of people have asked this question, so I think it's important to address this. Bipolar has no replacement interval. UVC light has a replacement interval annually. Bipolar does not produce ozone, and both of these technologies kill mold, virus, and bacteria. Bipolar actually kills pathogens in the space because the ions that are generated actually not only stay in the air handling unit, but go out to the space as well. UVC light does not. Bipolar will also help control odors. It reduces particulate. It does not contain mercury. It has no fragile electrodes. There's no issue with shock, and there is no hazardous disposal required. So that is why I really like this technology. So we need to share a historical perspective for this technology. As we know, necessity is the mother of invention, as was the case for NASA when confronted with the challenge of assuring our country they could place our astronauts in very confined spaces for extended periods of time and assure they would not get sick. To solve this constraint, they took a pragmatic approach by reviewing Mother Nature's approach to cleaning the outside air. So why is the outside air fresh and safe? Well, if you think of the sun as the ultimate UV light, it combines with the naturally occurring metals in our atmosphere, thus creating hydroperoxides. NASA had to figure out how to bring the outdoor air equivalent inside, and that is what APCO technology represents. So what is APCO technology? It's advanced hydrophotocatalytic oxidation. It was designed to address indoor air quality issues and is superior to the PCO catalysts that were on the market that combined UV and titanium dioxide alone. The APCO technology contains 6 rare catalyst metals, and it is shown to be effective to reduce mold, bacteria, viruses, fungus, and so on. There is some controversy over APCO technology, I have to tell you, as it does create low levels of ozone, even though it's below the ozone threshold limits. So because some people are really concerned about that and the reputation of PCO technology, we tend to recommend bipolar ionization because it's basically risk-free. But they work the same way. When placed in the air handling unit, they create these ions that not only clean the air handling unit, but they go out into the space and clean the space, the air in the space, and can reduce odors. So bipolar ionization is a technology where carbon brush nodes split water vapor in the ambient air into polarized ions. These ions attach themselves to other ions in the air, such as allergens, bacteria, molds, and VOCs, rendering the other ions inactive. The benefit is there is no risk to the no risk with the ions, and there is no maintenance to bipolar ionization. Once installed, the bipolar life is as much as 15 to 20 years. Bipolar ionization combined with MERV11 filters is essentially comparable to HEPA filtration. So what does it look like? This is an ionization strip that would go in your air handling unit on anything over 10 tons. 10 tons typically has more of a package unit that's smaller and goes inside of it, but this is what it looks like. So ionization has been proven effective against COVID-19, and it was from a third-party testing facility that confirmed these results shown above. So now let's talk about an actual test we did in Dallas, Texas. So how do we know it works? So there's a lot of controversy. You know, I know Azure doesn't bless it, and they say there hasn't been enough testing. But I can tell you, I have personally tested it multiple times in multiple applications, and multiple times in multiple applications it has worked. So this is an adenosine triphosphate test that we used. And so what's the nastiest place you can think of? Okay, well, I can think of a boys' locker room. Okay, so as you can imagine, not only the odor experience during this test, but the actual organic matter findings for this were not pretty. So we tested football helmets, lockers, shoulder pads, the walls, the door handles, and so on. So what were the ATP metering results? As you can see, test 1 is before and test 2 is an after running bipolar for a couple of weeks in the space. And as you can see, the organic matter on all these items is decreasing. So of course, you know, bacteria is organic matter. Then here is another way we do it. It's not super scientific, but if you take a Petri dish, and that's something you guys can all do in your facilities to just kind of gauge how nasty is your facility. You take these Petri dishes, they have agar in them. You open them up, set them in the space, and leave them open for an hour. You close them up and put them in your drawer, and then come back and look at them, say a week later. And then, so here is multiple tests, and this was as we were running the unit. You know, test 1 was before, test 2 was after the first week, test 3 was after the second week. And as you can see, with bipolar ionization, the amount of stuff in the air was decreasing over time. This is air handling unit 2, and this was the second test after installing bipolar ionization in the air handling unit. So what do we know about indoor air quality, and what is it we're calculating? Well, people have asked me, what are VOCs? So as you can see, all of these items on the left-hand side are typical air pollutants that you're going to find in your space, and you can see what the maximum allowable threshold limit values are. Now, when you bring in outside air using the prescribed Azure methods, you can see that the density of these various VOCs and contaminants is reduced. Alternatively, you can also use bipolar ionization and reduce your outside air, and you can see that it also, in many cases, is equal to or less than the contaminants with the outside air. Now, I do have to say, in this particular test, you'll notice that they are allowing the carbon dioxide to get up to 5,000, but normally you want that lower than that. So, but that's basically all this is showing, is that bipolar ionization works similarly to outside air. So what else does it do? Testing has shown all this reduction in viruses, bacteria, VOCs, odor control, mold, and so on and so forth. So it's been tested in many locations. It's been tested by Texas A&M University. And just so you know, I mean, it's used around the world. Various governments use it. The GSA uses it. So it's a validated technology, regardless that Azure hasn't blessed it yet, but I can tell you from experience that it works great. And so when you think about it, you're lowering your labor costs, you have less coil cleaning, you're lowering your electric bills because, as you know, film on your coils significantly increases the amount of energy to get the same heat transfer. You improve your air handling unit performance. You can reduce your dependency on outside air, especially if you're in an area where the outside air isn't clean, or if you're having high ozone alert days like we often have in Texas. Now, reduced absenteeism, I wrote on that mixed reports. That's what they're claiming. I've checked I have done some tests in schools, and the thing about it is, why are people really absent? I think there's been mixed reports on that. But I do know that it actually enhances your cleaning program, because when you test the surfaces, even after the cleaning folks have been through, and you know they're all under a lot of stress to do a lot of work in a very short period of time, bipolar ionization actually helps with the cleaning of the air surfaces. I also wanted to tell you, I just discovered the other day that there's software packages you can use to document and benchmark that your infection control policies and procedures, and you can collect and analyze occupant experiences, and you can measure and track your indoor air quality. USGBC has some really good software that does that. There's also, I met with, it's called 75F the other day. They have sensors that the thermostats and sensors that actually will document your CO2 levels and your VOCs in your space, and you can track it over time. So there's just a lot of good technology out there. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. So does all this make sense? And does anybody have any questions?
Oh, thank you, Dr. Shoup. It's that's a ton of information. So open the floor. Anybody have any questions? Please unmute yourself and ask away. We have some time left, so we'd love to answer some of your questions. What are y'all doing on your campuses? What information can this apply to what you're doing on your campuses? I'd love to hear from you. All right, you're a quiet group. You guys usually are not quiet, but I understand. Okay, if there are no questions, we will go ahead and end this session. And just to let everybody know, all these sessions are being recorded. We'll put them on the website. And for all the HPC members, remember you can use your SPS hours when applying it for the Clean Slate initiative that we have for you. So we'd love to hear more about that from y'all, be able to help y'all with that. I hope y'all have enjoyed these 3 sessions today. We have 2 more tomorrow, starting 11 and then 12, with Kevin Folsom and Sherry Offenheimer, and we look forward to those presentations. If there are no questions, thank you everybody for being here today, and we will see y'all tomorrow.
Thanks, Bill.